The cows are out. That's what she said to me early that morning. The cows are out, and I'm going to help Dad. That was my wife, or I guess I should say wife-to-be. We had recently gotten engaged, and we had shown up the night before back in Danville, my second ever trip to Danville to be with her family. The first one was kind of the first chance to meet him. We were dating. It had been months since then. And in between visits, I had asked for Jamie's hand in marriage. This was my second time back in Danville, back at the farm, back at the house. We had arrived late the night before, had driven 8 hours from Joplin, Missouri to Danville, probably midnight, 1 o'clock arrival type thing. Went to bed. I was sharing a bedroom with her 10-year-old brother at the time. And so she came in that morning and rustled me, and she said, the cows are out, and I'm going to help Dad. At least that's what I thought she said. I was dead asleep, completely out of it, and I'm one of those people that needs a little bit to wake up. Some of y'all can hear one alarm, and you're just ready to go. You spring out of bed, and you attack the day. I'm one of those people that sets the alarm 30 minutes before I need to get out of bed, because I just want to keep hitting snooze 2, 3, 4 times, and then get on with the day after I've kind of eased my way in. If you are married to the other type, it will drive them crazy. I hear it a lot in my house. She came in and said, the cows are out. What she actually said is, Dad is at work. The cows are out. Get up and come help. That was the actual statement. The first one went right over my head, so I just rolled over in bed and fell back asleep. I can get completely asleep in between snoozes. I don't know if some of you can do that. I can go all the way back into slumber. She comes in again and rustles me. Hey, the cows are out. This time I'm realizing she's not just informing me that she's going to be gone. I really thought at first that's all she was doing. Like I know this is a house that you're not familiar with. I don't want it to be weird when you wake up in a little bit and you come walking out into the living room or the kitchen and nobody's around, or if it's just my stepmom. If that's the case, I'm just telling you, warning you, I'm going to be gone. I'm going to go out and help Dad. That's what I thought she said. She was not saying that. She was saying, get your butt up out of bed and come help. So the second time she came in, I heard her very clearly, but I said, no. No. And I rolled back over. And the third time she comes in, and she's shaking me again, and she says, hey, listen, get up. We need your help. The show cows got out into the field. They're into the alfalfa. Dad's not home. I need your help. Come on. We got to go. And she said it as if those words would make any sense at all to me. Like she was showing her math, and I could go 1 + 1 = 2. Oh, we got to go. No, I mean, none of those words made sense. The cows are out. Of course they are. All the cows are out. Who puts them in? They're all out. What do you mean they're out? And alfalfa, I mean, the only alfalfa I know is Little Rascals alfalfa. Like, no context. Why would that be a bad thing? Why? Nothing. I don't know anything about bloating. I don't even know what a show cow is. I don't know. I hadn't been to Hendricks County Fair yet. None of it made sense. So it took a fourth time back in for her to say, listen, I'm not asking you anymore. I'm telling you, it was a precursor of some things I would learn in marriage down the road, that there's a point where you can push back, and then there's a point where you comply. And we were at the comply point. And so I got dressed, I stepped outside, and as soon as I did, I realized I was dressed different than everybody else that was going out for this. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know where to go. And so her brother, her 10-year-old brother, is the boss of the project. He's driving the tractor, and he pulls up, and they go with Richard, and we're going to go try to find him. And I'm like, go with Richard. He's sitting on the only seat that's on this tractor. Where am I going? Like, stand on the step. So I'm, no joke, standing on the step, right? And this 10-year-old kid's taking me over the hill and down towards a field. We finally spot him. And so I don't know what we're going to do once we spot him, but as soon as we get near him, instinct takes over, and I kind of just hop down off of the moving tractor, find myself in a little closer proximity to the cow than I intended when I jumped down. And I mean, I am like face to butt with this thing. And I did the only thing that seemed natural in the moment. I mean, I just smacked it in the rear. And I was like, get going, you stupid cow. You're ruining my morning, all that kind of stuff. And just kind of let it have it on the way out. And it starts gradually moving, but in the wrong direction. In the wrong direction. Big old open field. So I'm like, all right, 10-year-old farmer Richard, what do we do now? Well, we got to turn them. Okay? How do you turn them? How do you turn them? He goes, you got to go stand in front of them. Well, her brother, and this is true even as an adult, you really don't know whether he's messing with you or he's not messing with you. And so there was a real hesitation for me to do what he was telling me to do until he demonstrated it one time. And I'm like, oh, he really means go stand in front of it and it'll move. So you do that. Well, that'll rattle you a little bit when they're coming at you. But they did turn. We wrestled these guys up. It took about 20 minutes to get the whole project done. Everybody got in a kind of circle, if you will, or half circle or in the field. And we just started kind of running these guys down towards a corral point where we could pinch them in and get them closed off. The whole thing turned into a whole bunch of fun. We're laughing. We're soaking wet. We're wide awake. And when it's all said and done, we're standing outside the kitchen door, right outside on the back porch. And we're just looking at each other like in marvel. I think they were marveling at the city kid being an idiot out in the farm more than anything. But what I knew had just happened is we just had an adventure. Like we just had a moment. And it was one of those moments that no matter how I tell the story, it's hard to even tell you how much of a moment it was. Because I was new in this family. Like I felt like I didn't belong coming into that moment. I had just a few weeks earlier made a phone call back to her dad to ask for Jamie's hand in marriage. I did it by phone because I didn't think that I could sneak away and get all the way from Joplin to Indy and back without Jamie knowing what was going on. And so I decided to call. And when I called the farm, I said, Mr. Thomas, he answered the phone. He said, yes, this is him. And I said, this is Nathan Rector. Total silence on the other end of the phone. Like literally not a word for what felt like an eternity. And out of my nervousness, I said, you don't know who I am, do you? To which he said, I'm trying to place you. I said, Jamie's Nathan. Oh, hey, Nathan, how are you doing? I'm good. Hey, and I just went straight in. No, nothing, just straight to it. Hey, I just called to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage, ask permission. Well, you got it. Okay, thanks. No, I never game planned that we might have to talk after I asked the question. I mean, I was completely fish out of water in the moment, and it was so awkward for a minute until he started to kind of warm up on his end and help me through the process. But this is my next time in the house after that, right? And so I was like, I'm new here. We're family. This is a new step. The last time I'd been here, you'd showed me the seat of honor. I was Jamie's boyfriend. Now I show up. We're family, about to be family. And it's like, come on, we need your help. It's time to jump in. I'll tell you, as I've reflected back over the years, I've thought about how close I was to missing that moment. Like I really was. It was a battle of will. It was a battle of will in the moment. And I almost missed it. And nearly 25 years later, we tell a lot of stories as a family. This one still rises to the top as one of the greatest experiences we've all ever had together. Nothing's topped it since then. And I almost missed the whole thing. I've come to reflect on that and not only see it as significant that I did, but also as a significant analogy to spiritual growth. And overcoming obstacles to spiritual growth. And overcoming specifically the obstacles or taking a step. Once you feel your place to belong inside a family, then feeling that pressure in a healthy way, in a good way, to say, now I'm going to step in and I'm going to contribute. I'm going to take that step and I'm going to be a part of something that's already going on. As I reflect back on that day, I see that as such a perfect illustration of what we would talk about around here as moving from belong stage to contribute stage in your faith journey. You see, God doesn't want us to just know about him. He wants us to experience him. And there's so much of experiencing him that's not found until we experience the adventure of ministry, of generosity, of contributing, of serving other people. As we follow Jesus, we're called to possess his revolutionary attitude towards serving. Mark 10:45 describes his attitude. It says, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many." We do this quite regularly here. My heart today is going to be to implore and call you to take a step to serve and to give in intentional ways. But make no mistake about it, this is not a do your part sermon. This is a live your adventure sermon. This is a live your God-given adventure sermon. Because one of the things that the Bible makes abundantly clear is that you are on planet Earth for a reason. You are not an accident. You are here because God put you here. Do you wake up every day thinking about that? You are here because God put you here. And he put you here so that you could have a relationship with him and so that you could do the good works that God has prepared for you to do. And one of the greatest adventures of life is finding that which God has made you to do and living and serving like Jesus. That's the heartbeat of everything that I want to talk to you about today, because so much of that adventure and so much of that serving and giving expression is designed to take place inside of a local church body. But like I had to overcome early that morning in the cow situation, there are a lot of obstacles to overcome as people take that step. We're going to make an invitation later in the service about different ways that you could plug in, get connected, take that step and serve here at Northview. There'll be a QR code that you can follow. In fact, I think it's going to go ahead and go up early on the screen, but it'll come back later. But as you think about what your next step might be, can I just be honest? I understand the obstacles that you have to overcome. It's not necessarily easy to do. There's a bunch of them. Like, for example, the first one is really obvious. On a morning where I'm being shaken awake, the first obstacle is the comfort obstacle. Like, that's the primary obstacle for most of us when it comes to spiritual growth. Comfort. We would just like to stay doing what we're doing. We don't want to get uncomfortable. We don't want to change something. We don't want to have anything cost us. The primary obstacle to spiritual growth is comfort. But if I could I point out the irony in pursuing comfort as a goal? Comfort never stays comfortable. And it never, ever fully, totally satisfies. As a pursuit, it's futile because it's always a moving target. Like case in point, today after 3 services, I'm going to go eat some food and then I'm going to go crash. It's what happens almost every Sunday. I go down for a couple hours. And I'm going to be looking to get as comfortable as I can possibly get. I'm going to make a game time decision on recliner or couch. It's not it's just, you got to play it by ear. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And I'm going to sit down and I'm going to, like if I start in the chair, I'm going to work on getting the chair in exactly the right position, the right head tilt, the right leg elevation, the right everything. And then after a while, I'm going to feel very comfortable. And then after a while, I'm going to all of a sudden be not comfortable. And I'm going to have to adjust the chair, or I'm going to start going, maybe I should go down on the couch. I didn't fall asleep. Maybe I'm going to get up. I'm going to go down. And so I'm going to lay on the couch to try to get more comfortable. And I'm going to lay on the couch for a while, and then all of a sudden I'm going to get uncomfortable. And I'm going to go, it's too hot in here. And I got to get up and turn on a fan because I want to be more comfortable. And then for a minute, I'm going to be comfortable. And then after a little bit, I'm going to go, well, shoot, now I'm cold. And do you see where this goes? It just, I lay in this one position. It's really good for a bit. Oh, now my shoulder hurts. I don't want to lay like that anymore. I got to keep moving. Comfort is a never-ending pursuit. It's a moving goalpost. It's a carrot on a stick. You will never, ever be totally comfortable in life, but we chase it, don't we? We chase it. Jesus paints a very different picture about where real life and adventure is found. And he says, actually, it's when you get uncomfortable and serve others that you find the highest life. Philippians chapter 2, verse 7 describes Jesus' willingness to be uncomfortable. It says he made himself nothing by taking on the very nature of a servant and being made in human likeness. This is talking about Jesus, though God, descending from heaven to earth, made himself in human likeness. He emptied himself, not of his divinity, but of his dignity, leaving the throne room of heaven to come and walk among us and live as we would live. But what happened? He lowered himself to the point that he would die on a cross for you and I. And rather than seeing this lowering of himself resulting in humiliation, what the end of the chapter reveals in Philippians 2 is that quite the opposite happened. That as he lowered himself and served others, willing even to die for you and I, that at his resurrection, he was given a name that is above every name, that at the name of Jesus, every knee would bow and every tongue would confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. In other words, he's shown us this pattern of living life, serving others, is a better life, a higher life, than a life that's lived to be comfortable. By being willing to be uncomfortable, Jesus changed the world, and he's called you and I to live the same way. Maybe comfort isn't all that it's cracked up to be. And maybe what we need to understand is that the path to greatness isn't found in seeking comfort, but it's found in being uncomfortable and serving others. The comfort obstacle is a big one, but you know what else is? The comparison obstacle. Where you look at what you can do, what you know, what you have, and you look at somebody else. That was one of the big obstacles for me that morning because I knew that I'd never done anything like I was being asked to do. I've never rounded up cows. I've never ran through a field. I've never even understood what alfalfa or fares or anything even mean. But there's something of an opportunity. There's something there. There's something that I do know. And will I move and will I act on what I do? Well, I had a trouble because was this little boy, this 10-year-old boy, really going to be my superior in this situation? Would I look at him and know, I don't even know how to drive a tractor, and here he is just whipping through the fields. That's humbling. That's humbling. Am I going to take orders from him? Am I going to compare what I can do to what he can do? This has been going on since Jesus' disciples, where they would look at each other and they would say, how am I supposed to be like him because I'm different? After the resurrection, Jesus is sitting down and having a breakfast with John and Peter. This is after Peter's denied Jesus 3 times, but Jesus is basically, he's restoring him. He's forgiving him. He's calling him back to get in the game. And after he does this, he says to Peter, he's affirming his faith in that moment, Peter's, and his commitment, his recommitment to Jesus. And he says, someday, Peter, somebody's going to lead you where you don't want to go. And he was talking about his death. He was saying basically, Peter, I know that you're devoted to me, and I know that you've recommitted to me, and someday that devotion is going to be so strong that rather than deny me, someday you're going to be led to your death because of your conviction of who I am. Peter, I think on the one hand, received that very, very positively, that he was being seen by Jesus, but then he says this. This is John chapter 21. He looks to Jesus and he looks at John. He says, what about him? What about John? That's my future. What about John? And listen to Jesus' words. He says, if I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? You follow me. Guys, did you catch that? What I have for John is not the same as what I have for you, Peter. If you're looking at him and you say, hey, what about the job that I have for him? Well, why don't you do for me? Why didn't you gift me with that? Why don't you ask me to do that? Why didn't you send me on that mission? I'd love to go there. Jesus says, if I have a decision with him, if I have a plan for him, that doesn't involve you. I can send him somewhere and send you somewhere. Your job is to follow. What I tell you, you follow. Forget about what I told John. You do what I have called you to do. There's no win in comparison and being able to look at other people and say, God, why are you asking me to do this when you've asked them to do that? The only thing to worry about is, am I being faithful to what God has called me to do? 1 Peter 4:10 says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others. Use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. That just really levels the playing field and basically says everybody has a contribution. Everybody has a gift. Everybody has something that they've been called to do. Don't worry about what somebody else is doing. Worry about listening for the call of God, reading the Word of God, applying it to your life, and let everything else fall wherever it falls. Because in the end, you will only be held responsible for what you knew God called you to do. It won't matter what He called somebody else to do. What is He calling you to do? The third obstacle is the compassion obstacle. There's a heart. There's a heart. Because when your heart is moved, your hands follow. When the heart is moved, it springs you to action. And often where there's no action, there's been no heart movement. I can tell you in that moment, I could have cared less about 2 cows. In fact, we're on a farm. You talk about cows being gone and we might have to die. And they might have to die or they could die or whatever. All I'm thinking is, sounds like steaks tomorrow night. You know, I mean, it doesn't rattle me. It doesn't. You know what did? I could tell that this meant something to my wife. And I could tell that it meant something to her family. And since she meant something to me, what meant something to her meant something to me. It was a heart issue. And once I started to realize how much her heart was connected to this in this moment, it started to pull mine into action. This is the way Jesus lived. You read through the Gospels and you'll see Jesus regularly. It'll say his heart was filled with compassion or moved with compassion. And usually what that means is immediately following, he acts. He does something. He sees it, his heart changes, and he reacts to it. Whether it's lepers or the blind or feeding the multitudes, his compassion led him to action. I think following Jesus wholeheartedly basically translates to having a spiritual EKG all the time. Part of this call and this conversation today is to allow the Lord to hook you up. And let's just see where the reading is. Is your heart beating as it should? Is it burning with passion for the things that mean something to him? Is it galvanizing a group of people and bringing them together as they mutually see what God could do if their hearts are not only warmed, but if their hands are combined to serve and to give? The heart obstacle reshapes so much of the journey. When the heart is moved, the hands follow. The hands follow every time. Guys, the last obstacle is the clarity obstacle. Clarity obstacle. When I laid there that morning, I really couldn't see how my contribution could help. I couldn't see it. It's like, I don't have a clue what we're doing. I don't know how anything that I'm going to do is going to help you guys who know how this thing goes. You know what to do. And not only that, I have no real ability to see how this in the long term makes any difference whatsoever. Why don't I just stay here and sleep for a little bit longer? You guys tell me the story later. I don't know how me being involved directly is going to change the outcome. I don't have clarity on that. I can't see the future. This is big in this conversation about serving and giving. Because often what holds us back is the fact that we don't see how it's going to make a difference. We don't see how that dollar given or that act of service or that amount of time is going to really change in the big picture things of eternity. But I've got to accept the fact that though I may not see exactly how it comes together, I may not be able to see the math shown to me in the immediate moment, there will be a day and there will be a moment where I will see things in perfect, total clarity. And until that moment, I'm called to be reminded of this, that total clarity and faith are mutually exclusive. You can't pursue total clarity as a goal and still possess faith. Faith has eyes to let enough conviction and enough clarity propel you into action, trusting that there will be a day when you can look backwards and you'll go, that's what God was doing all along. Couldn't see it then, but I can see it plain as day now. I can see it all coming together. Galatians chapter 6, verse 9 says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. We will reap a harvest. There will be a moment of clarity. There is going to be a day when you're going to see everything totally and perfectly clear. So let conviction about what you do know be enough. Let it be enough. And take your next step forward. As you sit here today, maybe what would be the most helpful is to quickly try to identify which obstacle right now is the one that's really holding you back. Which one is it? Is it comfort? If it's comfort, may you know that you will never actually be comfortable trying to pursue comfort through your own means. That's why Jesus said to anybody that would listen, come follow me, deny yourself, die to all the dreams and all the chasing of comfort that you're trying to pursue. Come to me, and when you give your life to me, you'll find it. That's what you've always been looking for. You'll find it. And it won't be in laying down and doing nothing. It's going to be in serving and engaging others. Now, as you engage with others, if your obstacle is comparison, let's just, for the last time, let's just put that down. And like Jesus said to Peter, whatever I've called somebody else to do is of no value to you. That is of no matter to you. What have I asked of you? You follow me. You follow me. If it's a heart issue, if it's a compassion issue, let your heart be stirred. Ask God to stir your heart. Give me your heart so that when I see things with my eyes, I see them as you would see them and propel my hands to action. And if God, I'm holding back because I can't see it clearly how it's all going to come together, may you humble me. May you humble me and bring me to a place where what I do know is enough to get my feet and my hands moving, trusting that there's a day that I'll look back and see this whole story more clearly. If you've got a decision that you'd like to make today in that manner, or if you're ready to take a step forward to receive Jesus as Lord of your life, that's the foundational step. We invite you at this time to respond. To go no further than this moment right now today, to give this declaration, to make this declaration that He's my Lord, He's my God, He's my Savior. Because of that, for the rest of my days, I will seek to serve and to live as He lived among us. That's the call that Jesus has put on our life, and it's the greatest adventure to follow in His footsteps. My prayer for you today is that one by one, step by step, day by day, that you step fuller into that reality, and by experiencing Him, not just knowing Him, but by experiencing Him, His blessings pour out, not just to you, but through you to the world. Will you stand with me? Will you pray with me, Heavenly Father?